All right, so I'm picking up from where I left off yesterday. So the gauntlet is going on right now in the climb, um, so they know. Um, and during that process, I'm going to keep farming more stuff for the gauntlet. So it's like a voluntary thing I do once a month within the clan anyway. So I'm going to make sure I go from Garuda going all the way down. Probably won't be able to do every Warframe today, but I'm probably going to be able to do 10 of these Warframes. So the main thing is to make sure that I showcase exactly what I'm supposed to be showcasing, um, while at the same time doing like stuff that I did yesterday, such as recruiting now within the recruitment chat, as well as farming the resource for the people within the clan, and of course, I guess you could say if I come across an anomaly within a mod for each of the Warframe builds, I'll state that as well. So I like to get straight into videos anyway. Don't like to beat around the bush, unless it's something I really have to beat around the bush that I need to speak about. Otherwise, it'll get on my nerves. So let's see. I stopped at Gara yesterday, and I need to go to Garuda. Okay, so this is Garuda, and I could speak on how certain things work in this game beyond just talking about the showcasing the Warframe, their abilities, and I guess that's it. But and then you could speak on the mods that works best for them. So this is Garuda. I chose this type of skin, but another good thing you could learn about Warframe, since I like to put information, like little additional information within videos about how to do certain things in Warframe. There are there are simple things that people might overlook or skip. Like it's just simple in the game. For instance, A, B, and C represents your different loadout. And you do that for L1, L2, and L3. And then you press the button on the skins, and you could switch to the different skins that you're going to use for your Warframe. So this is the setup for the skin for A. This is the skin for B, and this is her standard skin that she originally came with. So the only thing that was customized with her A and B skin. Now, just like I guess you could say the name for your loadout. I I actually no. Just like the name, just like the name you would say for your modifications, you could change the name for your mod top. You could do the same for up here as well. So A, B, and C. Sometimes you forget it, but sometimes it's all about. Are you sure you want to randomize? No, I don't want to randomize. Do I want to link anything right now in chat? Not really. Do I want to go in photo mode? Um, mm, Not really. Hmm. Okay, so wait. Let me put it back on Necros because he's the farming warframe. I don't want to be confused. Um, Necros. That is Necros. All right. So what you do now when you once you select the warframe, put him in the slot here. All you got to do is press down your R3 button if you're using a PlayStation controller, PlayStation 5 controller, and then it goes into your overall Warframe list. So you could pick the different loadouts that you have. You could pick the different Warframe types that you have within your total cooperative change loadout list. So there are loadout lists of the different Warframes you could have. So you have a loadout for various different Warframe types. And then you choose the Warframe you want to pick. And then within that loadout type for that specific Warframe, you have also a sub loadout. So you have um, well, not, I wouldn't say a sub loadout. I would say mostly, yeah, you do have a sub loadout because you have your overall loadout, which is you get to select the type of Warframe and the loadout attached to the Warframe, the various different types, and the loadout that come with that Warframe. And once you select that Warframe, you then go into the modifications for the mods. And once you select that loadout for that Warframe, typically it'll take you to your first loadout of that Warframe based on your huge Warframe list. But the nice thing about each individual Warframe, they come with more than one loadout type. They come with a B and a C type as well. So normally, when you select a different loadouts for your game and you have different characters for your loadout based on the mission type you have, most games just have the different type of class Warframe or class fighter, and then whatever modification you put on that fighter, you select through your loadout and you use that character. Most games have that. The higher level games, they have additional loadouts towards an already Warframe or already Destiny character or already Dungeons and Dragons character that have multiple loadouts per their original loadout. So that's a nice thing about this game as well. It has multiple windows for various different loadout types. You have your loadout A, this comes, which is your standard. Then you get your loadout B, then you get your loadout C. And if I remember correctly, once you get your loadout A, that's at the beginning of the game when you first play the game. And as once you get past a certain mastery rank, you're given loadout C, loadout B, and once you pass another mastery rank, like extremely high, I believe once you pass MR20, or maybe it's MR15, you get a higher loadout. Or I could be wrong and you just get all three loadouts. But I'm pretty sure when I originally started this game, like 5 years ago, you had to earn your last loadout. So I could be completely wrong, but this video is not about that. This video is about continuing on from Garuda. So I'm not going to waste too much time with explaining that. I just wanted to add in that little information for the knowledge of those who don't know about that or don't know the little history with regards to loadout or how to do those things. That's if you first started Warframe and you don't understand Warframe. So this is Garuda. I'm going to speak on her kit. So this is Garuda's kit. Now Garuda's kit is, you see these different durations, these different damage capture multipliers. These are all based on efficiency, power, strength, so on and so forth for this Warframe as a standard when it comes to Warframe types. Her thing is, how would I describe her? She's a Warframe that sucks an enemy's life force from them, like a vampire, to give her back health in return. While at the same time buffing her physical damage capabilities once she takes too much damage. So she has a mod, or she has an ability that allows her to increase her damage output based on damage received. And then she also have an ability to make herself heal herself back, which is a range ability. Hit the enemy goes down, you get continuous amount of energy replenished over time, and that's also based on power, strength, and range. Longer the range, the less the amount of heals you get in return, and that works for every Warframe as well. The longer a range, and it's important to remember this, the longer a range goes based on the AoE effect, the further the fluctuation of the effect. Like say it's a beacon and it makes fluctuating waves. The further the beacon goes from your original location, the lesser it gets, which is a standard. Everyone knows that. But it's based on the percentage amount that's dropping. So think about it this way: if you're at 100% physical strength and your range meter is up to 100%, 100 range, at the end of that 100 range, that's where that effect will drop to 0. The enemy will still take effect, even if it goes into minus. It just won't affect them for too long before they shake it off and then move forward. But enemies that are within the 100 range coming towards you, they will always be affected. And it will take them a long time to shake off any type of abilities and move towards you. Or to get out of a knocking ability, or to get out of a sleep, or to get out of status effect if they're beyond your range, if they're beyond your range of your AOE effect. Um, because there are two type no, there are three types of effect of your AOE for any Warframe. There's the first layer area of your fluctuation AOE wave, which is anywhere from 0 to I believe 40. 0 to 40. That means the enemy really has to be close to you to take effect from 0 to 40, or 0 to 50. That could be 0 to 50. Um, what that means is that it doesn't matter how powerful the enemy is, they're always going to have heavy status effect on them, or heavy damage on them, or have whatever your Warframe capabilities, and they're standing close to you, they're going to feel it. Um, they're going to go to sleep. They're going to be frozen. They're going to, whatever the ability is, it's going to hit them hard. So unless they're beyond level 100, it's going to affect them easy. Now moving the 50 to um, from the 50 to 100, that's when it goes from high effect to medium effect. They will still be affected by the abilities, and it will still put them to sleep, and they will still be damaged, but it won't be extreme that they can't take a couple of steps forward, or they can't shoot off a couple more shots before they actually fall asleep, or they can't shoot off a grenade or throw a bomb before they fall asleep. In other words, they're able to do at least a good 3 seconds of whatever their action is, 3 to 5 seconds of whatever their action is within a medium damage effect. Mostly it's 3 seconds, and then they all go down, which means they go pow, pow, pow with a rifle if they have a rifle, and then boom, they fall asleep. So the fluctuating waves go from 0 to 50, they automatically go to sleep. And then it goes, while it's going outwards from 0 to 50, it gradually, as it's going outwards, is hitting enemy going outwards, like a wave or a tsunami or something like that. And once it hits them, the one that are at the edge, from the 50 to the 100, they're affected, and they slowly start to fall asleep. They don't just automatically fall asleep, or they don't automatically get frozen. Their animation, they go into the animation effect, then they're frozen. No, what happened is they start to get frozen, their body freezes up, and you see them moving slowly, but they manage to get off a couple of rounds before they go into the animation state, and then they're frozen. So that's how that works. But if they're outside of that 0 to 100, it will show that their body is getting frozen. It will show that they're slowing down, but they are still going to be able to get off shots. And it will take them a very long time for them to actually get frozen, which means the normal 3 seconds that are applied to 3 to 5 seconds that apply to the guys that are medium to the 100 will take twice as long for the guys that are outside of the range, which means it will take them to like a good 10 seconds. Or if not, if I'm completely wrong, it will take them like a good 3 seconds more added towards that already 5 seconds. Or if it takes guys from 50 to 100 to take 3 seconds of duration before they go to sleep, it would take those who are outside For the additional 50, basically anything from 100 to 150, um, 3 additional more seconds on top of that. So it'll take them 6 seconds to go to sleep. But if it's 5 seconds from the 50 to 100 within the bubble of the aura, it will take them an additional 5 seconds outside of the bubble of the aura, which means it will take them 10 seconds for them to fall asleep or get frozen or whatever. So that's how that works, and that's how this works within every Warframe, and it applies to Garuda as well. So this is she's a range Warframe as well as a healer Warframe. So she heals herself. She does range attack, um, range DPS attack, and she's a healer. So she's kind of like an all rounder. You use her for crowd control, you use her for DPS damage, and use her for heals. You don't really use her for keeping enemy at all the enemies in the 360-degree wave around you at bay. Her crowd control ability is more, um, I guess you could say, a buff towards your allies, as well as the sleeping, or should I say, the health replenish. So her crowd control is based on slowing down enemies at the same time while, um, if I remember clearly, let me see the abilities before I start talking. Impales an enemy on an altar of talents and siphons health for Garuda and her allies. So that's one of the buffs with regards to crowd control. How you say that's crowd control? It's just healing everyone in return. Well, it's crowd control because she could do it more than once. It doesn't have to be just one person. I believe she could do it multiple times towards multiple enemies, as many times as she wants, to be honest with you. There's no actual limit to how many times she could do it to a certain amount of enemies. Maybe there are a certain amount that she can do within mission. So far, I've only did it like three times, and I believe the effect once you hit a new enemy, the affected enemy from the last that was hit goes out. But that's not true, because I went into a mission once and I did the same effect on more than 2 targets, and both targets behind those 2 targets were still up. So that's how she's an AoE support as well as a crowd control. Because any enemy she's next to, and she does this next to the enemy, make the enemy go on her talents, impaling them. And if a Warframe is standing next to that enemy that's impaled, she could do it to once to an enemy to her next to that Warframe. And then if another ally is at a certain distance from that other Warframe, let's say behind that Warframe, but at a greater distance, she could do that, the talons again, the blood altar again, to the enemy next to that Warframe, giving that Warframe health in return, while the other Warframe is getting health in return from the other location. So they're constant. Your Warframes are constantly going to be getting health back, and that's why it's important to have range on Garuda. So if she does it many times, to all 3 Warframes start supporting you, or she's supporting all 3 other Warframes. She could do it 3 times for 3 allies, and make sure they each individually have a blood altar spiked enemy next to them, so they could always get health in return. So this is based on duration. This is also based on health per second as taken, um, and drain per second. So actually no, and damage per second. So thankfully it's not based on energy per second. Otherwise you'll run out of energy fast. But it requires her, if she's going to do it 3 times for 3 allies, it will require her to do at least 50% of energy per each time she casts it. So she will need 150 energy to cast this 3 times. And 300 energy to cast it a second set of times. So in order for her to do that, she'll have to have on um, Prime Flow, which will allow her to do 150. And but in that case, if she needs to do it a second time, she would have to have on something like Arcing Energize, or she'll need to have something like a Streamline on in order for her to do it a second time. So for this example, since she doesn't really need to do it more than 2 times within a mission, even though she could do it probably 3 times, what you want is to have range. Because if you have range, then all you really need to do is to have it just one enemy get affected. But if the range is extremely long, then the allies to the back and the allies to the front only have to siphon off one enemy rather than to siphon off 2 different enemies. So it's good to have her have range on her abilities. But at the same time, you cannot forget she needs to have ability strength and she has to have duration period in order for your allies to continuously have health as well as your allies to get enough health from the enemy. So strength applies to getting health from an enemy, and the range applies to having distance. So the enemy, your allies could be within range to get health, and the enemy needs to be on the spike for a long period of time to continuously get energy from Garuda's spike talent enemy. So in this case, you would want, since you don't really need to have it beyond, I believe, beyond 128 if you're doing like just one, but if you're doing more than one, your duration period, you'll probably need more than one up just in case one goes down. You'll still need to have one up. So maybe you'll want to increase your duration period by a slight amount and increase your power strength by a slight amount. So this range is, I guess this range is okay. But that 50% energy depletion is not good at all. So in this case, what I'll do is I will put this on and I'll put Prime Continuity on. That gives me enough duration and enough efficiency for the second ability. And I want to have on more range. Or let me check it again. Duration 30. Okay, so I don't really need to have on Prime Continuity. The change is not that great from the 20 something seconds to the 31 seconds. Let me give it some power strength and see what happens. And then put on some continuity. Put it back to 128. For the 25 seconds is 25 seconds is fine. Range is not that good, but at least it's not 50% energy anymore. But I don't gamble on least, so let's see what this will do. 20. Duration is 13. That's incredibly bad. See, you won't need to use fleeting if you have high duration on in the mission. Great part about our second ability, you could turn it off. If I put on more duration then. But I need more range. So I need more range so I don't have to cast the ability more than once. Um, I could just keep it on for a long period of time, and the 200 is fine. 50 is good. 50% health restore is good. It's not great. Actually, when you fight higher level enemies, 50% health return isn't great at all. Um, 58%, jeez, man. See, I don't get this. I put on a full Trinity and Fortitude, then I put on Arc Secrets, and it's now at 230, 234 from 200. And 234 from 200 only makes it go up by 8 points. Don't seem to be worth it. Let me see something. See how it will do if I have just okay. Okay, so let me try it again. See what's going on here. That was a max bleeding and okay, so that was 234. $57, not good. Let's try. Still not good. Alright, so not good. I believe the 145 is fine. The 145 is fine. I'm just overthinking it. Like, I don't want to use the ability more than once. If I could get larger range without having to have to 50% health, 58% health, which is not that great. Okay, so for all rounder, I guess this will be fine. Yeah, for all rounder, this should be fine at 50%. No, at least 52% health. So that's good. How many seconds? 20, 25 seconds. Prefer 30 seconds. Need that range. Or do I need a strength? Alright, so I'll put it back the way it was before. $26 seconds. Okay, that's good. All right, so that's good. Now, so let's check the rest of the kick. Let's see. Okay, so the first ability of Garuda is the Dread Marrow, and it says what it is right there. Rip the life force from an enemy and use it as a shield. Capture damage. This kills significantly weakened enemies instantaneously. Charge to channel the capture damage into an explosive projectile. Okay, so here's what I will recommend someone does. Anyone, to be honest with you. Since Warframe is very good with configuration towards using your controller or your keyboard, whatever you're using, for abilities that require you to hold down something and do something, always use the D-pad. Not this, actually, always use the button controls on the left of the D-pad. Your up, your down, your left, your right button. And I'll show you how you do that. Okay, so you go into options on your controller, you press the options button, it pulls up your menu, and in the menu, you go to options, and in the options, this works all the time. You should use it all the time. The first window where there it says controller, you then press on customize controller. You must press on the customize controller. You don't scroll up to anything. Each of these things are all buttons. They're not just images and words. You will know when it's actually just a word and you cannot interact with it because it will have like these brackets around it. So you can't interact with this. Anything that's not interactive are things that have like little parentheses bracket around them. They're just there to state that it's there. If it doesn't have a bracket around it, it's interactive. So once you get to the controller button, you press the controller for, you go out, you go to options, you pull up your menu, you go to options, you go to controller, customize controller, and it will show you your controller. So over here, where you have your up, left, right button, your up, your left, your right, and your down button, you would switch out your top button, and I recommend switching out the top button, or you could use the left or right button. Left button here, right button here, down button, depending on how you feel most comfortable when you're using your controller. I would switch out the top button with her first ability. And you scroll down, you have this list that pop up here that tells you all this, and you just scroll down your R3 button and you will see something say abilities, and in abilities you press ability A because that's her ability for the first ability, and that first ability states specifically you have to hold down in order to do your Hadouken. So if you don't have this on, if you don't have a button that can do that, then it'll be a pain in the ass. Now there are other ways to do that, and is to use your triangle button, your square button, your circle button, and your X button, and you can make one of these buttons the actual ability A for holding down. Like I said, it's up to your preference. But I'm so used to X, Y, square, triangle, that type of stuff, those type of configuration buttons on either Xbox, PlayStation, so on and so forth. To be specific, like jump button has always been X. Inspect buttons has always been square or circle in most games. Um, and then triangle button has always been switching weapons or doing your ultimate attacks in some games or in most games. And then your upper buttons here have always been your left and your right have always been for firing out your arms, throwing grenades, or casting special abilities. So top buttons have always been for casting abilities or shooting weapons. So those are the standards when it comes to controller. And of course, the left analog stick and the right analog stick are for movement and for looking around. Right has always been for looking around, and left has always been for movement. So in this case, what's most comfortable for you to actually switch off your abilities, if you don't want to use your center D-pad, which all your abilities are connected to, um, go press up, slide your finger up on your center D-pad, gives you D, her fourth ability. Slide down on your center D-pad, gives you B, her second ability. Slide to the right, gives you her third ability, which is her ability C, and slide to the left gives you her first ability, ability A. But as you can see, I switch off ability A with sprint ability. So originally the default for button config is this. So I'm going to put it into default. Now accept default. And this is default. It changed the center D-pad to be focus and transference, as well as A going up, B going down, C to the right, and D to the left. But I do things based on muscle memory. Um, Going up or going down typically means they're the strongest powers, and going to the left, going to the right typically means they're the second to weakest powers. Or like clockwork, you know, like any clock. 12 o'clock is the highest, 6 o'clock is the lowest. And anything going to the left is 3 o'clock, and then going to the right is 3 o'clock, and then going all the way around in the circle to the left is 9 o'clock. So that's how I see it. High noon being ultimate power, 3 o'clock being, I guess you could say, the beginning, A, then down is B, then C is left, and then D is up again. But in my case, I did actually the reverse. I did A is left, up is D, right is C, and down is B. And I simply do that because it's easier to remember doing the ultimate ability going up and the weakest ability going down. B is typically, for most Warframes, the B button has always been the weakest ability, where C and D and A are always typically the most used ability for most Warframes. That's how I do things. So you will want to consider that. So for Warframes that state specifically you're supposed to hold down on a button in order to do a power, you want to make sure you're actually using a button. It's telling you specifically you want to hold down on something that's a button in order to do an ability. So in order for you to actually hold down something in order to do it, it won't work on the D-pad because the D-pad doesn't have the press to hold function capabilities, and even when it does, it has another power set right there. So if you accidentally hold down something and it brings you into focus and transference mode, then you'll get pissed off when you're fighting enemies. So best bet to solve that problem by simply making this button, the up button here, your A ability. And you typically do that when you have to do anything that has to do with holding down. So if you press A holding down, and this works wonders. Why? Because there's certain ability where you have to hold down and you are trying to move forward at the same time. If you slide your hand off your analog stick right here, and you just slide your hand forward, going forward, you slide your hand forward, going up, you just hold down. They do their Hokaduken, you just bring your hand back down, slide up, slide down. It's that simple. Rather than trying to go to the center, hold down the center, let go center, and then go here. It's much simpler because they're right next to each other rather than it's right next in the center, and then you have to go over here and do certain things. So it's much easier because you feel the button press, so you know it's pressed down, and then you can let go. So that's that. So let's see. No, this is D. So I'll switch it back to the way I had it before. So that's another little thing you could learn with regards to using your Warframe more effectively in missions by optimizing your controller to whatever your presets you want to use to make your life much easier, to get off your ability much faster, and to do things much smoother. So I'll go into the missions with the Warframe, but I just need to say that so you can understand how you could learn and do things much quicker in this game without stress of trying to figure out things by using the default way of doing things that the game gives you. So down B, C. So this will be C. And this was typically A. So this will be sprint. And this was move. And this was focus. Okay, so place marker, that's correct. Consumables, that's correct. Inspect. I don't need to inspect. So I'll use that for transference. I believe inspect is the most useless thing within this game because sometimes you don't need to inspect anything. You just go up to it, the interactive button pops up, and you touch it anyway. So you don't have to really inspect something. You could just press and touch it, and if you don't need the item, you could drop it or throw it away or sell it. Transference. Okay, so that's correct. It's back to normal. That's correct. That's correct. Save. Let's test it out. Slide. Oh, wings are in the way. Okay. Not skin or attachment. Sandana. I guess there's a way to look vampire without the wings getting in the way. Because what it is, once these wings, once you're wearing like a sandana, like a hoodie or a cape, you pull up your gun by pressing the gun button and start aiming. This wing will be in the way, and you won't be able to see enemies to the right of you. So that's no good. This is just for decoration purposes. You shouldn't use it in a mission. You should use a more effective sandana or remove a sandana completely. A sandana that won't be seen when you're aiming down sights. What I mean by that is, even let's say for instance you put on the sandana. Sign 6. Oh, it wasn't a sandana. Okay. So it wasn't a sandana. It was an attachment. Yeah, it was an ephemera. Alright, so I removed that ephemera. It wasn't a sandana, it was an ephemera. Okay, so that's better. Sandana was, let me make this black. Alright, so that's that. That's solved right there, and that's better. So now when you're in mission, you're aiming down sights, you don't have something black blocking your path to your left or to your right when you're aiming. And as I said in the last video, if you still can't see to your left or your right, go into your controller options and go from the system, social, go to display window, and in display window where you see the word field of view, increase that to the max. And if you increase this to the max and you confirm by pressing triangle, you can now see her entire, at least a majority of her entire body from the back, and most of your surroundings from the forward, which you couldn't see before. So let's say she's aiming down sights from the back right here. You can not only see her head, you can see her back, you can see her left arm, you can see her right arm, as well as you could see at least a good one arm distance to her left. Yeah, like a good one arm distance, or at least half an arm distance to her left. Well, a little bit more than half an arm distance to her left, which is good. Whereas if you take it all the way down to 0, you can't even see next to her shoulders. Not even her shoulders. So you'll only have this mode on to increase field of vision when you're in a mission that there are a lot of enemies and they're starting to surround you. If you're in the slight slow missions and you're not worried about enemies surrounding you, then you don't need to worry about increasing your field of view. So you can see all the way around you, as well as seeing at a much greater distance to the top and to below you. So left, right, up, down, you're able, and forward. Your field of view is, for your 360 degree, is much greater. So I'm going to use Garuda in missions. That was discussions, or should I say, that was the topic of the second ability, range, as well as damage type output. And the first ability is based on the same, goes by the same formula: rip the life force from an enemy. You have to have range, because once you rip the life force from an enemy, and you do your Hadouken and stuff, you have a shield mirror, a dread mirror in front of you, and that blocks physical attacks coming forward towards you. So the larger the mirror is, the larger the amount of damage of enemies shooting towards you or coming towards you. They won't be able to hit you, even if they have an AoE attack. Like say they have a throw grenade, and the grenade blow up in front of you. The grenade does an AoE attack, which means it does a 360 degree damage attack. It just doesn't do a forward attack. It just doesn't blast the enemy forward. It blasts to the left and to the right and backwards all at the same time. And what that does is, if her shield is smaller, whatever effects that are fluctuating beyond the range of that explosion will creep past the left and creep past the right and creep past the above her, and they'll go around it, because it's an area of effect. Like I guess you could say like heat. Like if you put up a big wall, or if you stand behind a huge wall and someone decides to blowtorch that wall, you'll feel the heat against the brick wall by the blowtorch. But you'll also feel it even more than anything, coming from the left and the right of the wall, because there's no wall to the left and to the right to block out the heat that's actually you're receiving from the left and the right and from the above. You're not getting hit by the flames, because the wall's blocking the flames, but you're getting hit from the AoE heat much more than the heat that's being blocked by the wall itself. So you want your range on your mirror to be larger. So 145 is the standard for a good mirror with regards to Garuda. And then there's the third ability, which is a Blood Leather. Garuda sacrifices her health to regenerate energy and clear status effects. So you will only use this ability when you have to, because what it does is it will take away from her health. That means every health that she got from enemies by pulling their life out of them, and it multiplies since she gets her health back. She would basically do a reverse of that ability to receive, not to receive health coming back, but to have health taken from her, um, in order for her to remove status damage from her and to regenerate energy. So if you feel that you're running out of energy to do your second ability and you're running low, all you got to do is cast your third ability, and what that will do is take every energy that based on damage that you're receiving and start to fill up your energy pool in return. But what it also does is slowly starts to deplete your health in order to gain that energy. So if you're going to have your health being depleted in order to gain energy, it's best to always have a large amount of health attached to this warframe, or at least have a large amount of arcane to replenish your energy fast enough, or have something that will be able to replenish your energy fast enough if your energy start to drop below a certain level. So the only way I see to regenerate your health fast enough is to have an arcane energized to regenerate health, and then have a mod that allows you to regenerate health. And that, if you don't have that, if you don't have it, it's fine. Um, what you need to do is arcane, arcane energize if you need energy. Obviously, ultimatum gives you more armor. That's good. I think I'm going with. Or maybe I don't need ultimatum. Yeah. Okay, so actually, ultimatum is pretty damn good. Um, in a situation like that, you will replace ultimatum with pulse. Those pulse give you a maxed out pulse, give you more energy in return. It's not guaranteed, but it's slight chance. Um, I'm just going with ultimatum because I believe its ultimatum is far better. Now, the same thing goes with regards to hurt and other warframe. If you put on a fast deflect, you take less damage because the enemy has to take down the shield again, but that does not work for AoE. AoE goes directly towards attacking your health, not the shields that you have up. So, for this type of warframe, you have to be very careful. Once her shield goes down, or if she takes a AoE damage and the third ability is on, she could basically die. So you have to watch out that you're not using the third ability when an AoE effect goes on her. So it's up to you to keep it at 155 or 152, or remove it, which I am going to do, and give her more health. Or should I give her more armor and health? 60% more health? No, 90% more health and armor. This is very iffy. I don't really like this, but typically what you would do is, if you don't want to give her more armor, um, can you can this is 180. Okay, so in a situation like this, you would put on something like a gladiator rush. Um, But you need something like adaptation to resist. Like, let's say, for instance, you have adaptation on. Adaptation would resist that AoE effect anyway, for 20 seconds. So, in all truth, you don't need to worry about taking the AoE damage effect. But then again, you still do, because adaptation only lasts for 20 seconds. So, if another enemy hits you with another status effect directly after the enemy that hit you with the first status effect, and you resist that damage effect for 20 seconds. If you're still resisting that damage effect while this is active, then you could die from the status effect of the next enemy casting um, a, a different type of status effect upon you. Or even if it runs out. Let's say, for instance, the status effect of that enemy type runs out and the 20 seconds is over. You would have to then resist the second enemy for another 20 seconds once that 20 seconds is over. Um, I don't know how that would work. I think you would probably die in that case, because if you're, let's say, for instance, I'm resisting toxic effect for 20 seconds, and the next enemy shoots, like, say, heat weapon at me, and they shoot a laser with heat on it. That's not toxic. The status effect for that heat is fire. Um, would I really have to wait for that 20 seconds to be over and then resist it again? Yes. Would I die in the process while I'm waiting that 20 seconds? Probably. So I'm not going to gamble on the 20 seconds is going to work every time an enemy hits you. See, it says with that when damage 10% resistance to that damage type for 20 seconds, stacked up to 90%. So it could stack to about 90% um, damage resistance. So once it resists that status damage type for 20 seconds, that's when it starts to stack. But I've never tested whether or not you could resist multiple status effect all at once, or it has to wait for a toxic to run out and then heat to start after the toxic has run out. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how that works. I've never tested it before, but to be 100% honest with you, I don't believe it'll work. I don't believe it'll work whatsoever at all. I believe you have to wait for the status effect of a toxic, of a heat, of ice, whatever the elemental effect, status effect is. You have to wait till that run out, then you could resist the next damage type again. So that's what I'm going to do. Um, I'm going to turn this into Vazarin, because I want these two spaces to actually be available for Umbra mods when the time comes. And this works out to my advantage anyway. Actually, I think it does work out to my advantage, because let's say I want more health and more armor, but I don't give a damn about adaptation. Or let's say I do care about adaptation, but I also want the health and the armor. I could put that there. Obviously, my power strength will go down. Um, Throwing health there. But I want to return my power strength up to just a little bit amount. Not too much. Just a slight amount. it goes up to 179. So we're back to 25 seconds. And we're back to 50% energy being taken. So it's really questionable exactly what you want to do. Do you want to give them more health? More health and more armor. I believe more health and more armor works to my advantage in this case. So this is more health, more armor, and less about damage. But I know for a fact that the stronger the ability is, the more you can siphon off more energy. I mean, more health from the enemy. So it's best for me to have. And I need range, obviously. Yeah, so this might actually be the best choice right here. As all-rounders go, I believe this is the best choice. Range go here. Adaptation goes here. Your health is at 900, but it could go past 1,000 easy. And the adaptation will take 20% off whatever the resisted damage is. I guess if you could put Arcane Pulse in here rather than Ultimatum, you could get more health in return. But that's what this mod, this R mod is for. Physique. Max health is increased by 90%. Or I guess you could use Rejuvenation for you and your team. And then you put on something like for Exudemus mod slot, put on a Coaction Drift, 15% aura strength and 15% aura effectiveness. You put that here. Still down. Alright, so I'll just do the adaptation. Alright, so I'm going to show this Warframe's kit. I'm spending way too much time on this Warframe. The other Warframes I'm just going to breeze through. Let's see what time it is now. Yeah. Okay, so I got like 2 more hours. That's what I'm going to do. And I'll get to all 10 of them. I just need, like, when it comes to a certain Warframe, I want to make sure the kit is set up good. This is a good all-rounder I got right here. All I need to do is to max out this Warframe and put here range of 145 and here Coaction Drift in order to increase health return, because this is a health return Warframe. Or let's say if you're doing long runs, the typical standard to put here anyway is prime sure-footed. So if you're not going to use a Coaction Drift, you should have a prime sure-footed here. And if you're playing support for other people, you need team health regeneration. That's why Coaction Drift works better, because you need that extra 15%. But yeah, this is the build for Garuda, all-rounder Garuda. And so, what did I not speak of? I spoke of this, and the third one. And the fourth ability, which is probably the most useless one of our entire kit. Charge to expand the target area, release to send Garuda's talents to surviving enemies. Okay, so It's not completely useless, but it's not really necessary. So I'm not going to speak about her useless fourth ability because it's not all that useless. But at the same time, it's very useful if the enemy manages. Okay, so if the enemy manages to survive after you use the fourth ability, here's what's going to happen to the enemy. The enemy is going to start bleeding out a lot. So as you can see down there, the bleed chance goes from 75% to 100%, which means they're going to bleed out a lot, which means they're going to eventually die on their own by themselves. So if you're unable to kill them, or if you're in a critical situation and you have to consume health, or you have to hide so you don't die in mission, they're gonna eventually die themselves due to bleeding out. So if you hit them with one, two, or even three bullets, it's going to do significant amounts of damage towards them because they're already taking a lot of bleeding out damage. They have blood pouring out of their veins on the floor at an incredibly fast rate. So that's the beautiful part about her fourth ability. It's also an AoE attack ability. So this Warframe is very good with regards to that. Even though the fourth is not that great, it is, however, great when you're in a group of people. Like I said, once you cast your first on an enemy, you got shield to protect yourself. The first ability is mostly for herself. And then it builds up his Hadouken meter over time. And the second ability is for yourself and your team. So you could do this multiple times. But if you have range towards it, 145, you can only you basically do it twice, never have to worry about it anymore. So you don't need to hit like 4 or 5 enemies. You just need to hit like 2 enemies and make sure you spread out the distance between the first affected enemy from range of that AoE and the range of the second AoE. And the third ability, once that second ability is on, you then use your third ability to sacrifice your health with regards to getting energy in return. So if you're standing inside of this pool um, that you sacrifice your health for, or your third ability, you're still going to be getting health in return while you're standing in this pool in order to get energy. So these two synergize with each other. You're sacrificing your health, which means once you're getting energy slowly being depleted from you in order for you to I don't mean like slowly deplete like per the second, but slowly depleted from you equal to that of energy depleted from you for casting ability. So instead of her third ability, like her first ability takes 50% energy in order to use it, her third ability does not take 50% energy in order for her to use it. It takes 50% health in order for her to use it. So it will drain 50% of her health, and that's a lot of her health. 50% of her overall health is half of her life. So you must put on your second ability in order for you to use your third ability effectively. Because if you use your third ability, take 50% of your health, your meter for your health to build up starts to go up slow, but it won't go up fast enough if an enemy is shooting at you. So you must have your second ability on and standing within your second ability pool in order for you to be getting health in return while 50% of your health has been taken from you. So rather than your third ability, you building up energy, or should I say, you building up health slowly over time by not standing within your pool, you then have that time for you to get your health back by standing in the pool. So let's say, for instance, it takes you a full 30 seconds for your health to fully return back to its normal. Let's say her health is 500 health. It will take you a full 30 seconds to a minute for 500 health to return back to you. I say about 30 seconds. So if she's standing inside of her pool instead of standing outside of it, it will take her half that time in order for her to get her health back. So only 15 seconds, which is very imperative in higher level missions. So if you're going to use your third ability, always remember, if you're going to use your third ability, you must cast your first ability first, because your first ability I mean, not her first ability. You must cast your second ability first. Because the moment you cast your third ability, you already cut off half of your health, of your life total. So you must be standing in this in order to start getting energy, I mean, getting health back quick before an enemy takes all your health and you die. A lot of people don't realize that they throw on the third ability because they want to get energy back so they can use their second, their first, and their third. But they don't realize that they're not standing within the aura pool that's on the ground of her, the enemy that's been on the spike in order for her to get energy back. So stand within the second abilities of the enemy that's affected, kill enemies at the same time, and make sure. Or what I do is I stand within that pool. I don't kill any enemy. I go into operator mode. I let the enemies around me focus on the operator. Um, and I do it like this. I let the enemies, I go into transference mode. I let the enemies focus on the operator, and the operator is attacking, and they're attacking the operator because the operator is me. And the main focus of the enemy is to focus on trying to kill you, the user, in the game. So they don't consider the Warframe that's standing idly by and has turned into a lifeless corpse um, for no reason, and it start functioning. They start function or do their killing abilities on the enemy that's moving, the user that's moving. So their sole job is to try to kill you now. So in that case, you move around, and every now and again you go invisible so that they don't drain all your health all at once by shooting you. So, because if they shoot you a couple of times, because the operator is so weak, they go directly back into their warframe within just a couple of seconds. So, the moment you're taking hit from an enemy while you're attacking them, if you see your health start to drop very low with regards to your operator, go invisible, stay invisible for a while, and don't allow them to start shooting the warframe. So shoot them to make them continuously, all enemies that are surrounding you, to continuously shoot you. And then once you see your warframe health is slowly starting to go past the halfway point into the 75% point, or not even the 75% point. Once you see the warframe has gone past 65%, then you can go back into the warframe. Because by the time you get back into a warframe, start killing enemies, and it should reach the 75% marker. And your allies that are helping you in the mission will be able to hold them off. But if you're really worried about going down, regardless of that, just stay in your operator for as long as you possibly can, killing enemies and staying invisible, but at the same time going off invisibility so they could see you, so they don't focus on your warframe and focus on you, and then you transfer back into your warframe so you could get their health all the way up, or shields all the way up. And if you can't get it all the way up, at least get it to 75%. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to show her kit right now. So who's this? I don't know you. So this is the only Warframe I've been talking a lot about because I rarely use Garuda. The other Warframes I'm going to go straight through real quick. So at the same time, I'm still farming and I'm still recruiting. Still farming and still recruiting. So I already have everything I need for the gauntlet. Nobody's probably going to do the gauntlet today, or maybe one or two people are going to do the gauntlet. Because the gauntlet today is basically most of them versus me. And I guess a couple of them don't really care for much for challenging the warlord in order to receive rewards or anything. But it's voluntary. It's always been voluntary, so it doesn't really matter if they do it or not, because I could still use those Warframe rewards as well as those mod rewards, as well as those platinums, in order to put towards the next giveaway, which our clan does by the end of the month.
You are here to find our target and
So
bring
it
them to the extraction point.
works for me no matter
Happy
how
hunting.
I see it. Now, like I said before, the run ability has been switched to the A, so now I have to press A in order to do the run ability. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, it's the sprint and roll ability. That was A. Sprint and roll.
Excellent work. We'll interrogate
No,
the
I just need
captive back
sprint,
at
not
base.
sprint
Your
and
part
roll.
is done here, Tenno.
It's weird.
Void disturbance. Tenno forces need backup within Granum's Void. Gateway collapse imminent.
It's weird. Alright, I guess I'm gonna have to figure that out when I get back. It's typically when you press, if you switch your run button, the run button should be on. It should be, you shouldn't be just be rolling. It should allow you to start running. Oh, wait a minute, what the hell? Oh, it didn't recognize, okay, I see what happened. Still had the sprint button here, but I wanted this to be map. Oh, I didn't put it the way I wanted it to be, okay. Okay, so I want this to be move and a map, and this to be sprint without sprint roll. I wanted this just to be sprint itself. So where's just sprint? Will it allow me to do it now? Sprint roll.
Harvest Granon, your sacred tokens shall remain secure from the grasp of the idol.
Wait, let me put reload in here. And let me try sprint. I wonder, maybe it doesn't recognize it. Well, I'll have to try it when I get back.
That's it. You opened the relic. Finish your mission and
That's
we'll take
third
a look
ability.
inside.
Now they're shooting me, they can't shoot me. It's at the 180, so they're shooting. Nothing is working. So now second ability is going to be used. Oh, sign again. Okay. But I need that titanium instead.
Mission complete. The captain has been escorted to the
Yeah, it's
extraction
weird that
point.
the roll
Well
doesn't
done.
work. I mean, the sprint doesn't work the way I want it to. Typically, you can just sprint. You don't need to sprint and roll. So I want to see what that's all about. Because I removed the roll from the default place that it had. But maybe maybe the D-pad can't recognize. Maybe the D-pad can't recognize. It doesn't recognize sprint. I'll find out right now. So that's roll for A. I don't need sprint and roll. I just need to sprint. Maybe it's staring me right in the face and I just don't see it. No, it's not. It's not here. So I think that's the situation. It doesn't allow for, see, it doesn't allow for you to use when it comes to the D-pad itself. And that's another thing, nice little lesson to learn with regards to this video. And it's something I'm learning as well. It doesn't allow for you to do sprint using the D-pad. But it does allow for you to use sprint using buttons, but not D-pads. So let me see if it works for, let's say, buttons like circle or square as well. Would sprint be there? Yes, sprint will be there. So let me see if it works for something like your R1 button or R2 button. Sprint will be there. So it works for things that are related to buttons, but it doesn't work for the D-pad itself. So when I want this to be sprint, sprint won't show up using D-pad whatsoever. But sprint roll will be there, which allow for you to sprint and roll all at the same time. So I'm going to have to, if I'm going to use this as A, then I have no choice but to put this back as sprint. And rather than have this as inspection, well, let me see what they'll do. Would that do anything? Okay, so it doesn't work. Where are you? I hear you. There you are, you freak. Yeah, that was the man on the wall. Every now and again, he decides to mess with you within your ship. He's a little weirdo. People are saying, since the Devuru paradox is coming out, that he's actually the guy who's the emperor of that world. That he's trying to figure out how things work within this world from his world. So when the Devuru paradox comes out, we'll see if that's true or not. It could be. Who knows? Okay, so moving on. So now that I'm able to actually do sprint, which means I have to set my button back here to sprint. I cannot, and since inspection doesn't do much, so this is fine being where it is. However, I won't be able to see the level map. So I need to see the level map when I need to see the level map. So since inspection is completely useless, level map could be replace inspection, show player list, show level map, and that works out best. So sometimes you will have Warframe that are a little difficult to play with, that they interrupt your standard button configurations. Because they have the hold down effect for the A ability, for the B ability, for the C ability, or for the D ability. And what that does, that knocks you off from actually doing stuff properly in the missions. But I just showed the solution to that. You go here, you do customize controller, and you put whatever the ability is within the slot right here to this buttons. Don't put it here because it'll screw up your fighting capabilities, and don't put it here. It'll screw up your aiming capabilities. Put it here in the most useless one. Most of the times you just replace the show map, and you can put it for the show map, and then you can switch off transference, and then you could leave sprint where it is, because once you move sprint for the D-pad, whether you try to sprint for the D-pad for any of these slides right here that react to the center D-pad, sprint won't work for D-pad. Sprint has to work for buttons and buttons only. So that's all I got to say for Garuda. The fourth ability, I'm not going to show off for fourth ability because it's just like I just said. Or maybe I should show it off. I'll show it real quick. Been on Garuda for a good minute, but I'll do the same for other Warframes, but I won't be on other Warframes for a good minute. She's the only one I'm on because I rarely use her, even though she's real good. There's so many Warframes, that's what I'm trying to say. There's so many good Warframes, it's hard to just stay on one Warframe all the time and master one Warframe all the time, because there's so many Warframes to master, and they all have their little niches, their little niche that make them so good and make them so effective in certain missions. So, first ability. Second ability. Oh yeah, that's another good thing about her second ability. If someone does a ground slam on the ground and to knock you into the air or to knock you down to the floor, if you hit her second ability at the exact same time that they do the ground slam, you won't go into the slam. You will just go directly to them to execute the ability, thus eliminating their entire ground slam. So that's the second part, the second beautiful part about her ability, her second ability. It eliminates the ground slam.
Mission complete. The
So you'll
captive has
never
been
be
escorted
ground
to the
slammed the
extraction
moment you
point.
hit that
Well
second
done.
ability. Okay, so that was second ability. This is, okay, that's first. This is first. This is second. And now, this is the area of effect. And you see the line outside. So now I'm going to turn on my third, sacrifice that in order to get energy back. Enemy die. These are weak enemies, so they're going to die right away. So you can turn off the ability or let it go off on its own. So I'll do it again. Okay, actually my pet killed him.
Betrayers. My partners and I have been working on a new project. And I wanted you to be the first to see my amalgam.
That's it. You opened the relic. Finish your mission and we'll take a look inside.
Just need to find an enemy. And make sure at the same time I'm getting all of my relics. I mean, my all traces. Okay, so I'll use this enemy as an example. Hopefully he doesn't die. But he's most likely he'll die. No, he didn't die. Okay, so there. And then there. Health is being replenished. And you notice it starts to go up faster. See, it went up faster. It was going up slow as I was out. And then it started to go up faster. Now I'll do it again. But I'll head towards extraction while I'm doing it. Okay, I'll let them hit me a little. Here, give you a hit. Okay. I'll wait till my shields go down. Never mind. Killed the enemy. Okay, so that, and then that. Let them keep hitting me. I'll cast my third ability. I'll let them keep hitting me. As long as I'm standing out of range. Alright, now I'm going to go towards where I had the target. Start gaining health for this thing. See, health is going up fast. While I'm standing here. So that's that. And this was the fourth ability I used on the enemy. Cast bleed. If they go down, they go down. If they not, they don't. Either way, the bleed takes effect on them, which allows you, when you do your next couple attacks on them, they're going to die quick. So as long as you're casting your second ability and your third ability, and you're standing within your circle, after you cast your third ability, you can cast your fourth ability directly after. If it hits the enemy, boom, you can kill them quick, while at the same time still regenerating health while standing in your circle. So she's very versatile in that capacity, but you have to have a decent amount of range. In other words, you have to have anywhere from 145 to 175. My suggestion is to go from, if you can't reach 175, get it to 160. But 145 to 175 is decent range. I guess if you're defending a larger target, or if your target defense area is much larger, you obviously have to go beyond 145. Hell, even if you're not, defense target area is not large enough, you'll have to cast your second ability twice in order to be at two range types. So either way, it's good. The only bad part is that it's 25 seconds. But you don't need to worry about that. What you do need to worry about is the amount of strength that you get in return for standing within that pool. So that's why I say ability strength, for you to be regenerating health fast. That's where the ability strength comes in. The amount of health you get return once you're standing within the pool. So it really depends on your setup. Do you want to use transient fortitude, or do you want to use maxed out blind rage and only cast your second ability once, since you have 155 duration, which is basically 31 seconds, which is not that different from 5 seconds less than fleeting expertise, which to me doesn't pay off because it drains so much energy here. Kind of pointless, to be honest with you. I prefer to have just 5 seconds less than to just have 5 seconds more with a whole lot less of efficiency and a whole lot more spending of energy in order to cast abilities. Um, it sucks I won't be able to have enough strength, and I'll have to put in something like this here, but this will only knock me up to 235. Um, and I guess if I put power drift also in here, it will increase my strength ability to like probably um, 250 or 245, which is good. Um, because like I said, she doesn't have to worry about knockdown if you cast the second ability right before you get the knockdown, because she'll basically ignore the knockdown. So you don't have to worry about prime sure-footed going here. You just have to put strength here and strength here. But you don't really want to have strength here and strength here. Um, you only do that when you're by yourself with an average range of 100. You don't do that when you're in a team. When you're in a team, you want to do at least 145 range when you're in the team, and then you put the strength here, which will just boost your power strength up to about a little here. Um, but my suggestion is, if you're a Garuda main, the next thing you want to do is um, the only thing I could possibly think of doing, um, if you want to risk it, if you want to risk it, is to remove adaptation and then add more strength. Or you can mess with her mods. Or syndicate mods. But I'm not going to waste any more time with Garuda. That's all I got to say about Garuda. It's up to you. So this is the build you go for with Garuda. You put Rejuvenation here. You put Coaction Drift here. And you put another strength mod over here. But if you're in a team, you put range over here. And you put a strength mod up here. And you don't put Rejuvenation up there. You put Growing Power. So strength mod here, range here. That's if you're in the group. When you're by yourself, or even when you're in a group, you put Rejuvenation here, you put range here, and then you put the Coaction Drift here. So you're getting more health, your team's getting more health, and you have range. Or you have more power, and then more power. That's 3 power sections for yourself if you're running solo, or even if you're running in a group, but if you don't care about range. So that's all I gotta say about Garuda. So the next Warframe I'm moving on to is the Gauss Warframe, which is pretty damn good. Actually, I might skip Gauss for today. I'll come back to Gauss. Because I really have to get down to the ones that I really like in this one. And I'll come back to Gauss. I won't forget about Gauss. I won't forget about Harrow. I won't forget about Hildren or Ivara or Korra. So this set right here, I'm not going to ignore. These are the sets that I'm going to come back to tomorrow. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5, and 6, that's 7, that's 8, and that's 9. And I said I was going to do 10 today so that it would have ended with Mesa. So I'm going to ignore Gauss, Harrow, Hildren, and Ivara, and Korra. And I'm going to mess with Limbo, Loki, Actually, do I have to mess with Loki? No, I don't have to mess with Loki because I already. No, wait a minute. I do have to mess with Loki. I didn't put a Twitch video with regards to a Loki duration build. So I should say that. So I'm going to mess with Limbo next. I'm going to mess with Loki next. And Mag next. Mesa next. Actually, no. I'm not thinking. I need to think since I only have like an hour of time. Um, and since I was talking so much with Garuda, I need to. I'll mess with Harrow right now. I'll mess with Harrow, Loki, um, Mag, Mirage. I already spoke on Necros. So I'll mess with 5 Warframes right now. Um, wait, so Garuda was first. Garuda. Okay, so it'll be a Garuda. It'll be Garuda Harrow, Limbo, Loki, Garuda Harrow, Limbo, Loki, Mag, Garuda Harrow, Limbo, Loki, Mag, Mirage, Nova, Nyx, Rhino, and Trinity. And then the remaining Warframes, since I'm getting close towards the end, will be tomorrow. That's what I'm going to do right now. In fact, I'm going to even replace Limbo with, so I could get all the way to the bottom real quick. Replace Limbo with Wisp. Okay, so it's it was Garuda first. Now I'm going to do Harrow. Directly after Harrow, I'm going to do Loki. Directly after Loki, I'm going to do Mag. And directly after that, I'm going to do Mesa. Directly after that, I'm going to do Mirage. Directly after that, I'm going to do Nova. Then Nyx. Then Rhino. Then Trinity. And then Wisp. Every time I say Trinity's name, I keep remembering Trinity from Matrix. It's a beautiful name. Okay, so those are 10. Is it really 10? It's Wisp, Trinity, Rhino 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Yep, it's 10. Okay, so Harrow's next. I wanted to do Gauss, but I'm not going to do Gauss. I'm going to do Gauss and the other Warframes tomorrow. So yesterday I did 6 Warframes. Today I'll do 10. And why I'm doing these ones specifically is that, one, because I took too much time talking about Garuda, and 2, these are the Warframes that you could use their abilities much easier than other Warframes and understand their ability easier. Their kits are easier to use, and they're more effective against all types of enemies, and they're some of the best Warframes. They're high-tier Warframes. These are all high-tier, mid to high-tier Warframes. Most of them are high-tier Warframes. Some people get it wrong and think that they're mids, but the ones that I've just chosen are all high-tier. Harrow is a high-tier Warframe. He's not a mid-tier Warframe. If you know how to use him, he could critical chance and damage an enemy real quick. You always need to use him because in like especially Eidolon hunts. Loki is a high tier Warframe. I'll show you why. His duration build, he could take down 167 or 175 enemies easy. as long as he always stays invisible and know the timer for when he executed an ability. People will say Loki isn't, like, you don't know how to use Loki then, or you don't know how his kit works. He's basically a beast if you know how to use him. Mag is also dirty as hell. You could go for a 3-hour mission run, fighting level 200 enemies if you know how to use her. She's a beast as well. Mirage, she's a mid tier. I would say she's about mid tier. Mesa is also a beast. She's high tier. But what makes Mirage go from mid tier to high tier is how you use her kit, how you use her ability. But in all truth, she's really mid tier. But she's a really good Warframe, and if you know how to use her, she can synergize well with other Warframes, and thus she becomes a high tier. That's why I'm going to use her as well. And of course, Nova is considered a mid tier Warframe, but because of her slow motion abilities, for slowing enemies down, whether it's defense, target, survival, no matter what it is in this game, if she's able to slow her enemies down to about a full 75% slowing ratio, no matter how strong they are, that is a huge win, a huge plus. And plus, she has warp velocity, which allows her, or warp wormhole or something, that allows you to escape from death and get to your extraction point fast, as well as traverse areas extremely well. Like if, like, say a location is beyond 1,000 meters away, if you have range on this Warframe, that 1,000 meters away is actually like 3 steps in front of her, 2 steps in front of her. And then there's the next Warframe, which basically is a god if you know how to use her, and as long as you have 175% efficiency. And then there's Octavia Warframe, which is great, but I'm not going to talk about her in this video. And then it goes on to the next Warframe I spoke about. I'm going to use Rhino. He's a beast, and he's not really a god. He's a super tank. But if you know how to use his kit really good, he's basically will hold the entire team together by himself. Like if you put natural talent on this dude, and use his fourth ability and have an efficiency of 175, it doesn't matter who the enemy is. If he has 145% range, natural talent on, and 145 range, natural talent on, and what is it? I don't know. Just those two. If you just have those two on, he's a beast. Oh yeah, and efficiency, range, natural talent, and 175% efficiency. You have it on this Warframe. You're basically holding your entire team together. You don't really need to worry about any other crowd control Warframes if you have this Warframe. With 145, or let's say not even 145, you have this Warframe at 190. If you have this Warframe at 190 range with natural talent on and 175% efficiency, you're holding your entire team together. You don't need to worry about any other crowd control Warframes if you have this Rhino. And you wouldn't think Rhino to be a crowd control Warframe that you would use in defense mission. You would use better Warframes, but if you know how to use this kit, he's basically pretty damn good. And I'll use him. And of course, there's the Trinity, which is, Trinity can become a god or a near god. I would say she's not a god, she's a demigod, which means if you're not paying attention, you'll get killed, or she'll get killed. So she's basically a super tank like Rhino, but a little better than Rhino, because if you time her abilities correctly, you can last longer in missions than Rhino can, because Rhino can't give himself back. Rhino can't give himself back health, and he can't give himself back energy, but she can, as well as she could tank shots. So he can't do that, but she can. That's why she's a little bit stronger than him overall. And of course, the last Warframe I'm using is Wisp, which is, she's basically the team buffer. Speedster, buff health, buff speed, buff other stuff. So she's the all-arounder buffer you would go for anything. If you want speed, I mean, naturally you go for speed for Volt more than any Warframe because he is the speed Warframe, him and Gauss. But if you want an all-rounder buff of both health, buff of both speed, buff of both, let me see what her kit says. It says buff of health, buff of speed, and buff of status chance. So this Warframe is a beast. She increased your weapon status chance in order to kill enemies quicker, while at the same time increasing your health multiplier by a certain amount depending on your power strength, all at the same time increasing your speed by a certain amount, while both health one is on as well as the shock one is on. All three of them can be placed down in missions. So that's another good thing about this Warframe. So I'm going to start with, no more talking, let's get into the mission. Start with Harrow. So I have to speak about this kit because it's a showcase of abilities. So I'm just showcasing everything. So this is Harrow. This is the mod I have on for him, but this video is not about mod, it's about showcasing the characters, how it works in mission, and his abilities. So this is Condemn. Condemn casts a wave of energy that chains and hooks enemies and keep them in place. You use range. This is another range Warframe. Range and duration Warframe. So you may want to consider the type of mods to be obviously range and duration. Same, see, look, duration. Yes, that's very interesting, Harrow. 1, 2, 3. Duration, and duration. So obviously this is a duration Warframe. So obviously you build him for duration. He also is a Warframe that does crit multipliers as well as overall damage buffs. So he's the headshot multiplier guy. So if you're going to use him, you want to also have a weapon that does high multiplier damage or high crit damage. So if you have a high critical chance weapon, whether you're doing melee strikes or whether you're doing headshot, mostly for headshots on a weapon, and if the weapon has high multiplier capabilities, use that weapon and put it on Harrow, because he will always do high multiplier added towards that weapon already high multiplier that it has. So he adds more multiplier towards your already multiplier on your weapon. And let's see, who does life steal? It's mostly about critical hits as well as energy buffs. So mostly about critical hits and energy buffs, which means he gives energy to the party members based on critical hits he does on enemies. So it's not just about him getting energy back from doing critical damage using his weapons against an enemy, and he get energy back every time he does a critical headshot or any headshots. While the ability Turbine, is it Turbine? Or Tremble? Oh, okay. So when Tremble is on, not like Tremble, it's more like Tremble, a different type of word describing Tremble. So when this ability is on, and you do headshots, you gain energy back, but not just for yourself, but also for your party. So that's Harrow's kick, and I'll show it. I'll show his ability. His first ability, I'll show it again. His first ability is his best ability, in my opinion. Because if you format this for range, like if you format this for a good range, like say 190 range or 200 range, the moment he casts this ability in front of him, that ability doesn't just go forward. That ability goes in an arch. So the more range you give towards this your Warframe, the Harrow Warframe, the arch generally starts to grow. It doesn't become just, okay, so it's a 45-degree arch forward when you cast it forward. Like you see something like Frost ability, it only grows a little bit. The more you give him like range, it only grows a little bit. You know, for Harrow, if you just give him a little bit of range, it grows exponentially. So if you give him 145 range, it goes exponentially forward as well as exponentially to the sides. So if you give him like a range of 200 range, his range of his ability will travel forward when you cast the first ability at a great distance, but not just to forward, but also to the side as well. I could be wrong about the side, but definitely for the forward. It goes a great distance forward, like ridiculous distance forward, and grab enemies. If you have 200 range forward, or anything from 190 to 200 range forward. I believe it even works for 175 forward as well. So right now I have him at 175 forward. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to use, 175 forward. And obviously this ability works best because he's a duration Warframe. Works best with duration. So I'll show his entire kit. So no more talking for Harrow. Harrow is going to be a short one. Then I'll move on to the next Warframe. So let's see what time it is. That's the time? Okay. So that's, yeah, I got one more hour. I should be able to get in all the remaining Warframes. As long as I don't go off in a tangent and start to talk about mods. Just need to talk about their kits now. Just their abilities and showing the abilities. No more mod talking. That was for Garuda and for Harrow. Unless it's something very necessary I have to talk about. Okay, so this isn't Garuda, so he doesn't need to he doesn't need to have his A ability here. He can work with the D-pad fine. Okay, this is the A ability. Aim forward. I went there. I went there. I caught him. And that's the distance. So it could go all the way here. So I was standing all the way over here by this door. I'm going to stand right here. Actually, no. I'll stand right by this door right here. And I'll do it. That's one, that's two, that's three, and it's right here. So this is the range of 175 from the stairs going all the way to this door right here. So that's decent range. 190 would be would go beyond this door right here. Let me try one more time. See how far I can catch. Oh, never mind. I'm in a group of people, so I can't do it. Okay, but that's a good amount of range. That's a very good amount of range. All right, so now I'm going to aim for a second ability. It's very good range. 175 is what you want to go for, especially if you ever come across enemy that are having
Finish your mission and we'll take a look inside.
they're having like a group up, a team up, and they're shooting you at a range. You'll want to have 175 because majority of once you start fighting higher level enemies, they're not going to just run towards you. They're going to start shooting you from a distance. And that only works when you're starting to get to high level missions. So you want to consider enemies aren't going to move forward towards your location once you start fighting higher, stronger level enemies, because they don't need to come close to you. Okay, so now second ability. This takes off Harrow shields, which allows him to do more crit damage, I believe. Check it again. Second ability. It's probably his most useless ability of them all. Sacrifice shields to boost reload speed and firing rate, while converting damage inflict and enemies into health and harrowing nearby allies. So this is about reload speed and firing rate for your weapon. So it's the most useless ability of them all. If your weapon has fast firing rate and fast reload time, then the second ability is pointless. That ability only works with weapons that are have crappy reload and crappy firing rate. Now third ability is this ability right here. Now what this does is allow your character to create an aura around him. Thus every time you do a headshot on an enemy, you get energy returned back into your lower left, your lower right corner for yourself and your characters. This is essential. This is essential when you're in high level missions and you're desperate in need for energy in return. If you don't have a Trinity, you'll need a Harrow. Energy replenish is essential in this game.
Excellent work. We'll interrogate.
I can't stress it enough. Energy replenish is essential in this game. If the Warframe doesn't use energy, then it's not essential. But most Warframes use energy, because energy is the currency of the land when it comes to casting abilities. You need energy to cast an ability. So having a Warframe that could give you energy so you could cast more is essential. But if you mod your Warframe correctly, you don't need an essential. You don't need an essential. But that's something that only works for Warframe that are energy efficient Warframe. Most Warframes aren't energy efficient Warframes. What I mean by energy efficient Warframes is that most Warframes use up a lot of energy to cast abilities, and only a few Warframe use up few energy to cast their abilities. Like some Warframes just need 20 energies to cast an ability, while other Warframes need 50 energy. So it depends on the Warframe that you're using, but most Warframes are going to use up a lot of energy. So you'll always need an energy Warframe as a support to both give you back energy and to give you back health. That's where someone like Trinity comes in, and someone like Harrow comes in. So that was the Harrow Warframe. The next Warframe is, I said I was going to skip all the way to Loki, and this is the Loki Warframe. I'm not sure if I did this on Twitch, but I'm pretty sure I did it on YouTube. This is the Loki Warframe, and this is the general build for this Loki Warframe. This build works 9 times out of 10, or 8 times out of 10, and you could tweak it to become a 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10. Basically, you want, like, for any type of build for any game you want your build to be anywhere from an 8 to a 9 to a 10 out of 10. So you never want your build to be like in the 7s. You want your build to be able to take down like real tanky enemies, like real tanky bosses. And those things fall into the 8, 9, and 10 category. So this is, I would say this is a level 8 to a level 9 build. So this will work fighting any boss as well as high level enemies. So this is the build, those are the mods, and I have everything set in place. You want to have a maxed out arcane trickery, which allows you to be even more invisible upon completing a finisher on an enemy. And obviously you need the arcane energize, because energy is needed for every Warframe to cast ability. This Warframe, on the other hand, since it does the invisible all the time, since invisibility is its bread and butter for it to survive, because look at his health. Health is weak. It has weak health. Even with vitality on, his health is low. So invisibility is what makes this Warframe a god, or at least a tank, when it comes to killing enemies. Because the enemies don't know where he is, so it's essential for your Warframe to stay invisible for ridiculous amounts of periods of time. So his duration is, let's see, his duration is 282, and that should show his invisibility on his kit to be 33.84 seconds. So half a minute, he's going to be invisible for a full half a minute. I really want to be able to get him up to a full minute, but I don't think I'll be able to get him up to a full minute. I think it's impossible to get him up to a full minute, because this is a max out Harrow. Max out narrow-minded. This is a max out prime continuity. This is a max out constitution, and for high level missions you need natural talent, so he could throw it on quick because she has very small health. And I guess you don't need streamline on. You could throw on more duration, but you need prime flow on. That's a must if you're going to keep casting ability. So even if I put this on to give him even more duration and have a duration of 300, over 300, it won't make much of a difference. See, it's only 3 or 4 seconds more, so it's no big deal to even have that. It's best to just have a efficiency of streamline added towards keeping efficient energy, rather than adding more duration period. See, this one's 33.84, and the last one was 36.7 something. So it's about 3 to 4 seconds more, which is not a big deal. It's best to just have streamline attach. So these are the mods for this Warframe, and this is the kit for this Warframe. He put decoy down to disguise himself as an enemy, and the enemy's going to shoot at that decoy, not at him. Second ability is his bread and butter. He stay in mission for long periods of time, and he could do stealth finishers while he is invisible. Plus he gets back a lot of affinity points based on finisher capabilities. So when he is invisible, it's best to do melee kill with this Warframe, because you're going to unlike other Warframes, you're going to make the enemy die quicker because his invisibility is designed to be synergized with regards to finishers. So that's good. Swish Teleport is probably his worst ability because you don't really need to use it unless it's necessary for spy missions, spy or to confuse enemy missions to show that you were in one location and the enemy, you switch the location of that enemy to your location. So you reverse their location and put them in your location and you in their location. So it's kind of a useless ability, but it's only essential and needed when it comes to certain specific missions such as spy and other similar type missions related to spy missions. And then his fourth ability is also one of his bread and butter. So his bread and butter is his second ability and his fourth ability. Those are his two main bread and butter. Fourth ability works great because what it does is in a defense mission, you want to remove the weapons of all your enemies who are using guns. So once you use your fourth ability, every single enemy in the game get affected by this within a 360-degree range blast. It's not a forward blast, it's an AoE of 360 degree. And it doesn't matter how strong the enemy is, how powerful an enemy is, whether they're level 1 to level 100. Once he casts this on the enemy, they let go of their weapons. And if your duration is good, the enemy will drop his weapons and it will stay out of their hands for a long period of time. Now it doesn't say duration here, it just say the radius it casts on the enemy and the damage it does. That simply means it doesn't have a duration period because it's not something that has to do with duration whatsoever at all. It's a permanent thing. Once the enemy drop its weapon, it can no longer pick up its weapon until a certain time has passed. And the time that passed is a ridiculous amount. That's why it doesn't even have duration period for when enemies are able to recuperate and get their weapons back. Because it's like they don't even pick it up after they drop it. It's a permanent thing in the game. So once an enemy drops their weapon, it's done city. And you never have to worry about people shooting bullets at you anymore. That's why this is an essential Warframe when it comes to defense missions. Because if you have Loki in your party, you never have to worry about the wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. He will disarm the enemy regardless of what wave, as long as you have energy to do it. And all you have to deal with now is just melee killing your enemies rather than them shooting at you for a distance and killing you with 1 or 2 shots if they're level 150 to level 175. So yeah, that's the beautiful part about Loki. His fourth ability is a beast, as well as his second ability. So I'll show that right now in mission. You gotta pay attention to the time. Okay, so now it's 12 o'clock where I am, and I only have an hour left. So I might not even be able to make it to the 10th. Might be able to just do another 6 today. But either way, I'm glad I'm doing it this way. Because if I just had breezed through every single Warframe, just state the kit, just show how the kit works in mission, but don't describe exactly what's best to be used with regards to the kit in association to modification, then you wouldn't get anything out of it. Whoever watches this video and try to build certain kits with regards to their Warframe, you would get nothing out of it.
Happy hunting.
So I don't just make videos to just make videos. It has to be a point towards why I'm doing it as well. So that's the first ability. Set it up in mission. It basically takes your sidearm you basically give your invisible target your secondary weapon, and it takes your secondary weapon and uses your secondary weapon, and it shoots the enemy. So if your first ability, if you have strength on your Loki,
We'll interrogate the captive
it will
back
take
at
a
base.
while
Your
for
part is
an
done
enemy
here,
to kill
Tenno.
your Loki
Change of plans.
before he goes down.
Ignore your original
Typically,
objective. Leave nothing alive.
the first ability is very squishy, no matter how you look at it. So you don't depend on your first ability at all. Your bread and butter is your second and your fourth ability. Those are your powerhouses. So this is the second. Stay invisible. Enemy doesn't know where you are. Oh, okay, so I have to... Alright, never mind. I see, just came off.
Hybrid life forms.
It just came off. That was a very long time. Now you can kill tons of enemies, tons of enemies. Oh, wait, damn it, I forgot. Okay, so here, this is the run ability. So you kill tons of enemies within 30 seconds. Tons of enemies.
You have broken their ranks and they are on the run. Another successful mission. Find extraction.
So if you think 30 seconds is not a long time, it's too short of time. In Warframe, 30 seconds is a lot of time. You'd be surprised. The amount of stuff you could get done within just 30 seconds in Warframe is a lot.
The relic has
So
been
that's
cracked
second.
open.
That was the
Finish
second
your mission
ability.
to find out what's inside.
This is the third ability. I found an enemy. I switch his location. I was looking at him from over there, and he was over here. So I switch to his location. A useless ability, to be honest with you. Only necessary when it comes to getting into vaults and other things within spy missions. So it works good on spy missions and similar missions like spy missions. That's the only good use of the third ability. Or when you're in a dire situation and you feel like you're about to die, use the third ability. To switch from a critical situation will lead to your death. You would think that's a good thing, but that rarely happens since he has the invisible. He has his second ability, which is invisibility, so he doesn't have to worry about being close to enemy that's surrounding him and killing him, because once he goes invisible, they can't see him anyway. Now I'll show his fourth ability and move on to the next Warframe. So typically I just do these builds to see how far I could push one of these Warframes. And if I could push them to the limits, I need to see how strong they are. For instance, this Loki can take level 175% enemies, 175 level 175 enemies easy. It would take him about a full 5 seconds to kill one of them. 5 to 10 seconds to kill one of them.
You are here on a capture mission. You must find, capture, and
But they'll
extract
die
our
nonetheless
target.
before his invisibility even go out. So he has a full 30 seconds, and it will take him about a full 10 seconds to kill a 175 enemy, which leaves him with an additional 20 seconds left. But that full 10 seconds to kill an enemy, that only works if he's using a weapon that's not strong. Typically, if he's using a super strong weapon, the enemy will die in 5 seconds. Like the highest level enemy in this game. When it comes to regular enemies, regular size enemies, like if you escalate
Mission
a regular
complete.
gunner
The captive has been escorted to the
to
extraction point. Well
its
done.
highest level, which is level 175, that's the highest level for a regular enemy. It would take them about 5 seconds to kill a highest level regular enemy, and about double to triple that time for an exumus level regular, an exumus level enemy, which isn't a regular, it's an elite. So it'll take them about, I would say about a full 15 to 20 seconds, depending on the mod he has on, and the weapon he's using. Either way, if it's an exumus elite enemy and it takes you about 15 seconds to kill them, with even a powerful weapon, you still have an additional 15 seconds left before your invisibility goes off, which means it's still good. Like a knock, a level 175 knock, with a Loki, it would take him about a full 20 seconds to kill him with a powerful enemy. I mean, with a powerful weapon. Which leaves him with a Loki with a 10 seconds remaining in order to. Okay, so this is the disarmability. They're all disarmed. Now they're never going to use their weapon. I'll
That's
show you
it.
what that means
you
again.
opened the relic. Finish your mission and we'll
So I'm
take a
gonna
look
use-
inside.
This enemy has let go of his weapon. Or I've taken his weapon from him. This enemy can no longer use his weapon, and will no longer use his weapon. And if an enemy can no longer use his weapon, see, he no longer can use his weapon. It's not based on duration whatsoever at all. It's based on the fact that I believe Loki is the only Warframe that once he uses disarmability to disarm the weapon from the enemies, the weapons from enemies, using his fourth ability, he is the only Warframe in the game that's ever been in the game to have an ability that once you use that fourth ability on an enemy, it's a permanent thing. It's not you use it and it takes a certain amount of time before it takes a certain time before okay, so alright. So it doesn't, like the fourth ability, I'm not even, you see, I've never been in a mission long enough to know if an enemy will start to pick up back his gun or pull out back his gun. I literally stood in place once for a full minute to see if the Loki fourth ability disarm, if the enemy was going to pick up their weapon again or pull out their weapon again for a full minute after I cast the fourth ability, and they never did. And after that full minute was over, I wasn't waiting around to see if they're going to pick it up on the second minute or on the third minute. That's all I need to know. Is the enemy going to not have his weapon beyond 30 seconds? And if the enemy is not going to have their weapon beyond 30 seconds, that's all I need to know. That means the Warframe is OP.
Mission complete. The captive has been escorted to the extraction point. Well done.
So that was the Loki Warframe. Moving on to the next Warframe. Okay, so now we're moving on to the Mag Warframe. And this is the Mag Warframe's kit. So for the next, I guess for the next 3 Warframes, I'm just going to show the kit in these images. I'm not going to state too much about it. I'm just going to show it for itself, and show my mods that I have on the Warframe. And this is what I have for the all-rounder build for this Warframe. Now, this is just an example of an all-rounder build for this Warframe. This is not the preferable build for this Warframe. The preferable build will be a 190 range for an average all-rounder Warframe. Which means if I want to really give it some more oomph for its range, because this is a range Warframe, if I'm not worried about strength, this will be the oomph. Okay, that's okay, I guess I'll remove I give it a 6. One more should put it at 6. No, 6 don't even do it. 5. Let's try 5. But wait a minute, even a 5 would be... 5 wouldn't be good, 5 would be 10%. Alright, so if that's the case, and time flow, and then more range will be up here, so okay, so this will be the oomph. And then over in this corner right here would be the bond that I had on just now, the Hunter Adrenaline. So the reason why I can't put this in here right now is because even though I've modded all these slots, formatted all of them, is the Umbra. The Umbra is taking away from it. So if I remove an Umbra mod, like say I move Umbra Intensify, remove it from the slot, completely. No, I don't need to level it up. I just need to move it. It's giving trouble now. Alright, well, I'll just replace it with something else then. If I remove the Umbra mod, and what was it going to place here? Okay, Hunter Adrenaline, and I guess I could put whatever equals to 11 here. I guess I could use Intensify to give it at least 70. It's not really that good, but if you put Intensify, both Umbras here, both Umbra Intensify and Umbra Vitality here, your health will go up as well as your strength will go up. So in typical fashion, these two will be. This will be 95, and this will be 850 at 450 shield ratio. And then it's up to you whether you want to put on the Hunter Adrenaline, or it's up to you whether you want to increase the health even more from 850 to something much higher. If you believe Hunter Adrenaline is going to be useless with this Warframe, that's up to you. If you believe it's not, it's going to be effective, then you must consider the fact that if you get two-shotted, it's because that your health is not anywhere from 900 to 1,000. And if you fall into that situation, that your health isn't 900 to 1,000, because the bare minimum you should have on this Warframe is 900 when you're fighting level 100 enemies. If you're not going to have on more health, you should have a bot with you, and the bot should be a healer bot, an ancient healer bot that allows you to get health in return. So if you're not going to have more health on, you should have Hunter Adrenaline placed in here, and you should have an ancient healer, and the ancient healer gives you health over time in the mission. But the problem with the ancient healer, it always chases after the enemy, so you have to always keep it in place and don't let it move around a lot. So keep it in place, and especially when you use it, mostly when you're on a defense target or you're within a locked location and you're camping and you're killing enemies and resource farming. That's when you use an ancient healer bot, and then you use this and put this here. So this slot should be full with the Hunter Adrenaline to get more energy in return. And this range is good, and the strength is good, and this is good. If you don't care too much about the 165 range, I would say that's not a good thing to think, or not a good thing to focus on whatsoever at all, because you do need range for this Warframe. This is not a Warframe you could have less range. This is a Warframe that requires you to have longer range for survival, because the bigger her globe gets, the less she's going to die from getting hit by enemies, and that's essential. So always consider that as well. So that's that. All right, so this is a decent build with power drift here, but this is not the build. You want to have this here, and you want to have Hunter Adrenaline here, or you want to have this on, and you want to have something like Prime Sure-Footed on. So Prime Sure-Footed on and Hunter Adrenaline here. The standard will always be to have Prime Sure-Footed up here, unless you know how to bypass knockdown effects. And I don't believe Mac knows how to bypass knockdown effects. So you will always have this here, and you also have range at the top. So I'm going to pretend that this is at the top, and the Hunter Adrenaline will be right here. And this is this Warframe. And this is the kit for this Warframe. First ability is the pull ability. Pull enemies towards you, stun them, and bring them into melee range. So this is probably the most interesting ability, but also the most useless ability, because this only works when you have works good and it works well when you have a syndicate mod on it. Other Warframes are better at farming resources anyway, so you'll never use this ability and syndicate mod to farm resources unless you don't have those Warframes. And if you don't have those Warframes, that's the only time you will use a syndicate mod for this first ability, in order to pull resources out of enemies' bodies and rare mods. Yeah, in that case, that's good, but there are better Warframes. So the first ability is kind of the most useless ability. The second, the third, and the fourth ability, well, actually the second and the third ability are its bread and butter. Magnets of Ice, it'll state what it is right here. So I'll take a break from talking for right now. I'll just show these things and then show them in mission for right now. And then I'll close it off by saying certain things towards the end, because I gotta hop off in like 30 minutes anyway. So now I'll just show the abilities of this Warframe. Won't speak on it anymore, and I'll switch to my next Warframe after this Warframe.
We received intel that somebody vital to enemy operations is here. Find them and capture them.
Alright, so I guess I do have to speak a little bit about it. So what affected that enemy just now, just there, at that very moment, is
The relic has been cracked open.
the ability
Finish your mission to find out
magnetize.
what's inside.
And magnetize keep them in place. And the third ability does its thing once they're in place. So once an enemy is magnetized, you can then keep shooting at that area that the enemy's at. You don't have to shoot exactly at the enemy. You can shoot at
We'll interrogate the captive
the area
back at
that the
base.
enemy's
Your
at,
part is
within the
done here,
bubble.
Tenno.
So if you're standing outside and you're shooting inside the bubble, all the bullets will go inside of the bubble and kill anything inside of the bubble. That's why she's so OP. The magnetized doesn't even have to be strong. All you have to know is to have enough efficiency and have enough duration. If you have enough efficiency and enough duration, then the magnetize will work 9 times out of 10 if you know how to stack it. You stack it, and then you will always be able to affect any enemy because it'll stack.
The system cowered in fear. I took risks. I made a bold new partnership. Bear witness, betrayers, to my exciting new product line.
So you magnetize them with the second ability and use the third ability to rip them apart, or to rip shards off the person, or off the enemy. And once you rip the shards off the enemy, those shards become deadly, shards towards any other enemy within the vicinity of the bubble. Well, I shouldn't say vicinity, but within the bubble itself. So it becomes like deadly spikes. Oh, that's the level. Okay. I was wondering where extraction was. So I have to follow the level map. Okay, it's there. This is where the extraction is, man. At this waypoint, is underneath this building. So that was Mag's second ability. Her third ability synergizes with her second ability. And the fourth ability, I'm going to use it right now to show it. It's not one of her best abilities, but it does that. Typically, you always... This is like a one-shot kill ability. The fourth ability is a one-shot kill ability. If you build for power strength. So if an enemy is super powerful and you have power strength on your Warframe, that's beyond 200, or actually no, that's beyond 250, that powerful enemy will die. So typically her bread and her butter is her second and her third ability. They synergize together and they work at all times. I can see how she died so easy there. Now, if she had her second ability on, as well as her, if her second ability was working as well as her third ability in harmony with one another, she would have never died there. Because the enemy would have all been magnetized, and no bullets would have come towards any of your allies or yourself. So she's a very OP Warframe. Because she not only stops enemies, but she stops the enemy's bullets from getting towards you. But I might be wrong. I don't think she actually stops the bullet. She stops them from moving, thus making them stop using their guns because they can't move anymore. Alright, so the next Warframe will be... So I'll just do 2 more Warframes. That was Mag. So she's a very OP Warframe. And if you use her second and her third ability in synergizing with one another, and you find a nice little spot in an area, and she has 280 degrees or 280 range on her Warframe. Like I only have one 184. And I only have 184 because this is an all-rounded build. This is not a survival build. This is an average, all-rounder, made for every mission Warframe build. A survival build will be something with a ridiculous range. 260 to 280 range. That's what you will want to have for a survival mag that's OP. Not in health OP, but in survivability and long endurance run. Lots of duration, lots of range. And then throw on like 2 or 3 mods for additional slots. So all these slots are up here will be simply for range and durations. And the slots down here will be simply for prime flow health, natural talent, and another type of mod. If not, it will only be three things. It will be prime flow, health, and an efficiency mod. If not efficiency mod, prime flow, health, and an armor mod, such as adaptation, or resistance mod, such as adaptation, or an armor mod, such as steel fibers, or things that give her more armor. But typically, it'll be prime flow, health, and adaptation in case she takes on status effects. And then all these other slots will be purely for range and duration. But this build is just a all-rounder Warframe build for Mac. The standard is always having 260 to 280 for a truly powerful, long duration survival build mag. If you don't have your mag at 250 to 280 for a long survival build, you're not going to survive too long if it's not 250 and higher. Okay, so now the next Warframe we're going with is Mesa. So we're going to stop at, or should I say, I'm going to stop at Mirage, because I already did Necros in the last video. I think I did Necros yesterday, so I'm going to stop at Mirage. She'll be the last Warframe. And then tomorrow I'll pick up with stuff like Gauss and stuff like and Hildren, Gauss, Hildren, Korra, Lavos, Limbo, and the other remaining Warframes at the bottom. So the same amount of Warframes I did today, I'll probably do tomorrow. And then before the week is over, I'll get to the very end, which means by either Saturday or Sunday, I'll be able to state the remaining Warframes, because I'm not going to do this tomorrow. I'm not going to do another video with regards to this tomorrow, which is Saturday. I mean, not Saturday, which is Friday. Friday, I'm going to do another video for something else. And Saturday, I'm going to do the last amount of Warframe videos before Sunday. So the last showcase of all the frames will be Saturday, or it'll be Sunday. And that will be the last showcase of the last abilities for the last Warframes that are good within this game. I showed a couple yesterday. I'm showing a couple today, and the last ones are going to be either Saturday or on Sunday. Posted on Saturday or on Sunday. So this is the Mesa Warframe. And I'll just show her kit and show her capabilities and mission. And if I have to speak on something with regards to use of her abilities, I'll speak on it. Otherwise, I'll just be quiet. This is the setup I have for this Mesa. And Mesa is an efficiency Warframe. So if you don't have a 175 on a Mesa and a Prime Flow on, you're not using Mesa correctly. And if you're not using Mesa Waltz, then you have to depend heavily on your team to be good. Otherwise, you're going to be taking a lot of bullet shots because you can't move around. So this is a good all-rounder / tanky Mesa. What I mean by all-rounder or tanky Mesa, because she has more than 1,000 health. She has great efficiency. She has great strength. Well, not too great strength, but because she doesn't need strength because she has speed. She has decent mods on. But that's about it. If it wasn't for her efficiency, if it wasn't for her duration, if it wasn't for the fact that she could move around, this build wouldn't be good whatsoever. But it's a good build because it's both effective efficiently, and it's a little tanky because I gave her more health by putting the two Umbras in, by putting Vitality and Armor Intensify in. and because I have this on, instead of having something like Coaction Drift to increase pistol damage, which I could put on. Um, and I really think about it, maybe I should, but it's based on her casting her fourth ability to do damage, not on the actual weapon that she's using herself to do damage. So power is more effective and important. So I'm going to just do the missions. I'll show the kit now of her abilities, and then I'll just do the missions for Mesa.
You are here on a capture mission. You must find, capture, and extract our target. Mission complete. The captive has been escorted to the extraction point. Well done. That's it. You opened the relic. Finish your mission and we'll take a look inside.
Now, as you can see, the one issue that's wrong with Mesa is that even if she casts her second ability on, if you don't have power strength on it, the enemy will keep shooting regardless. So this is the fourth ability, the last ability. And this is the strongest ability. Why? Because not only does your character can shoot at an extremely fast rate, like ridiculously fast rate. It's also a 360-degree attack. That means you can walk around or look around and keep shooting at any enemies. And it doesn't matter where they are. You can hit them from... It doesn't matter where they are. You can hit them from even behind walls. So if they're hiding behind walls, you can still hit them anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Her fourth ability, bypass walls. At least that's the best part about her character. You can bypass walls themselves. Now I'm pretty sure they had nerfed it so that this wasn't the case, but on the standard, she could just, once her fourth ability comes on, her ability could shoot through walls. Maybe they did nerf it. So that was the Mesa Warframe. That was her second and her first ability that I just showed, as well as her fourth ability and her third ability, which wasn't that good. Alright, so the next Warframe is going to be Mesa, and who's the next one? Mirage. Okay, so the last one is Mirage. So I'm going to show Mirage Kit, then I'm going to show her abilities and mission. First, I'll show the mod I have on for this standard Warframe, for this average Warframe. Now you want to have like a decent range on this Warframe. I would say something like this. It works with duration as well as range, decent range, as well as casting the ability fast, as well as be able to do rolling guard, as well as having additional health, because her health kit is very small, and what has to save her from not dying multiple times in missions, is to have enough duration for her halls of mirrors, so she can cast it on again, which means it has to have a very long duration period to survive at the beginning. So it's up to you to decide what you want to use with regards to that. I believe this is the best setup because, one, her health is so low, so you need a prime vigor anyway along with vitality. And then you need something to resist status if you happen to take status effect on. If you're not going to... Well, I don't know. Getting kind of tired. Thought I might have actually dozed off there for a minute, but I didn't. I was just thinking about... Let me see, this one is at 190 at 85% range. I'm sure-footed. Okay, so this is more of the all around. However, it's not a crowd control. It's an all around. It's not a crowd control. So this isn't a range build. This isn't a tank build. This is an average all-rounder build. So this is the all-rounder build. I was correct. Because it doesn't have the 85, it doesn't have beyond 100 range. So this is the average build for the Warframe known as Mirage. And we're going to see her kit for her duration of her Hall of Arrows. It went from 25 to 47 seconds for Hall of Arrows. That's decent. In fact, that's very good. Not too bad, not too shabby. Not great, but not too shabby. Do I need adaptation for this one? See, this is, you put adaptation on when you're feeling like you want to tank through certain things. You want to survive past certain enemies that are ridiculously strong. So because her health is so low, you need to have this on, or at least rolling guard on. And you need to have natural talent on because her casting speed to do each and every one of her abilities takes time. Even her fastest cast for her first ability, which is the fastest, still take time to do. That most Warframe they could just do it instantaneously within just 2 or 3 seconds of animation. So I guess her animation for her first ability is 2 or 3 seconds. So I'd say her first ability is about the fastest. But either way, you want to have natural talent on. So this is a good all-rounder build you could have for your Warframe if you're interested in using the Mirage Warframe. Have bare minimum of 85 for range, or have 100 for range. Have a bare minimum of 190 duration period. You don't have to worry too much about efficiency. So this will be 100 as long as you have Energize in place and as long as you have Prime Flow in place. Because her duration period is high. By the time her powers go away by 40 something seconds, she only have like 20 seconds before she's able to get more NG back, or probably even less than that. So we'll see. So this will be the last Warframe I'm going to use, and it's already past my time for this video. So I'll use her mission and make it real quick. Actually, let me show her kit for all her abilities first. Then I'll do the mission and not talk until the end. So this is her first ability. It basically keeps her from dying. That's all the first ability is. An ability that keeps her from dying by making enemies focus on her doppelgangers than on herself, her 4 doppelgangers. And it's one of the best power abilities in the game because its sole purpose is to make a 360-degree protective wall in front of her and enemies to make sure that the enemies cannot touch her armors or anything like that by putting them at a certain distance from her, while at the same time giving the illusion that there are multiple versions of her in the mission, so the Grenadier or whoever has to kill her. At least that's the illusion of her power, to create a fascination within her capabilities to do the mission correctly and execute certain things on time.
The relic has been
Because,
cracked open. Finish your mission to find out what's inside.
Because her first ability allows her to do all those things. It gives her the power to do those things. Like she could reload a weapon and take her time because her powers of her doppelgangers are all, I guess, mystically pretending to be her and have the power to influence enemies. I mean, I don't know how that works, but it does. Alright, so that's that. Now the second ability is she put like a bomb on the floor, and if the enemy's standing next to it, they die. Or they take heavy damage. Now the third ability is this ability, which Eclipse. And Eclipse basically is, check that. Standing light Mirage deals heavy damage while shadows make Mirage difficult to track and even harder to hit. Okay, so we'll see how that works. Let's see if they'll hit me. No, they're hitting. It's hard to track and so on and so forth, but this is why I say she's not like a super high tier Warframe. She's like a mid-tier going up Warframe upwards rather than directly upwards. Mid-tier Warframes are fine. As long as you could escalate them past mid-tier, they become exponentially stronger if you could expand them past mid-tier. And you could do that based on the modifications that you made with regards to your mod slots and with regards to mod slots and with regards to, I guess you could say equipment inventory management or something like that. But I won't 100% say that's the case. Mirage is just Mirage because Mirage is great as casting like illusions, as well as casting like a death ball that kills enemy. So that's the great part about her. Now, fourth ability, I'm waiting to see if I find an enemy. I'm only staying here because I'm taking a little breather because I know this is my last one. Now I'll use my fourth ability. So what the fourth ability does, it spins in the air and it tracks any enemy that's within the vicinity and kills that enemy. So it's not like you throw it in the air and then it just goes around and then eventually comes off. It's aware of its existence in the sense that once you cast it, it becomes its own little living thing. I mean, it's not really aware of its existence, but it feels like it is. Like it moves around to find out where you are or where the enemy is, and then it goes in and kills them. So it feels like it's alive, but at the same time, it's not. It's like it's just smart tracking. It tracks the enemy. It tracks the enemy smartly, and that's all. See, I'm starting to get a little sleepy because I'm running into walls now. But that was basically Mirage in a nutshell. She's a very good Warframe, very good mid-tier Warframe. First ability, mirrors, to make sure the enemies are confused which one to hit. Second ability, set down bombs, so if an enemy runs by the area that she set the bomb at, they trigger the trap and its explosion blows up in their face. It's like she sets down mines, like mines on the ground or on the walls. So if you step on the mine, you get blown to bits, smithereens. Not that great of an ability. Third ability is Eclipse, which is great because it does good buffs. And the fourth ability is the best one. Or I could argue that the fourth ability isn't the best one. That the first ability is the best one. So her best ability is her first and her third ability. And this is the Mirage Warframe. Her best ability is her first and her third. And I guess I could say that's it for this video. Her first ability is her best ability, and her fourth ability is her best ability. Oh, wait, was it? No, I'm thinking about another Warframe. Her first ability is her best ability, and her third ability is her best ability. Yeah, because I'm getting sleepy, that's why I'm saying fourth. It's her first and her third. So that's it for this video. If I stutter or if I sound like I'm dragging off or I didn't know what I was talking about, it's because it's very late here and I keep tracking off and I keep going to sleep. So if this video finds anyone well, and since this video is primarily made for myself and my clan, it's for them to know about how to do certain things in Warframe so make their lives much easier since it's mostly for them. I don't mind if a lot of people don't see it. But if you aren't into Warframe and you are interested in seeing Warframe content, yeah, I do it every now and again on Twitch. And Saturday, I'm going to finish up. I'll try to finish up the rest of the different Warframes. If I can't finish it up on Saturday, I'll definitely finish it up on Sunday.